My husband Ethan and I have been married for 30 years. We have 2 children, and we have a strong marriage. We spend every family holiday in a rather sentimental way, enjoying the little traditions we've created over the years. We have a very good relationship with each other's relatives, and we often spend time together with them, whether it's a BBQ, game night, or just a casual dinner. You could say we have a very large and friendly family, and our get-togethers are always filled with laughter, warmth, and joy. Today, my mother-in-law was celebrating her birthday. I called my mother-in-law, wished her a happy birthday, and asked her how she would like to celebrate it. She replied that she would like to see as many family and friends as possible. Ethan and I discussed how and where we would celebrate, wanting it to be special for her. We decided to book a VIP table at one of our favorite restaurants. Even though it was expensive, but as I said before, we are quite sentimental and love to create unforgettable moments, so we don't spare money for such events. We invited almost all of our family and family friends to the party and set the time for 5 p.m. I wanted everything to be perfect, from the decorations to the food, so I spent the entire afternoon finalizing details to make sure everything went smoothly. I even went shopping for fresh flowers to personalize the table setting and picked out her favorite lilies to make her feel special. As the time started getting closer to the appointed hour, we started getting ready. I put on my white dress, my favorite for special occasions, and started applying my makeup. I wanted to look my best because I knew how much this evening meant not only to my mother-in-law, but to all of us as a family. Ethan's parents came to pick us up. We got in the car and said hello. I hugged my mother-in-law and congratulated her again, and she smiled warmly, clearly excited for the evening ahead. My father-in-law, Daniel, complimented me on the way I looked, and I returned the compliment. I wasn't just being polite. Daniel, despite being in his 50s, was still quite slim and trim for his age. He was dressed in a luxurious classic suit, smoothly shaved, and his gray but thick hair was perfectly styled. He looked very dignified and confident, which made him stand out from the crowd. During the ride, I couldn't help but stare at Daniel, but no one noticed. His charisma and demeanor always intrigued me, and more than once I caught myself sneaking glances at him. There was something mesmerizing about his presence. He was so elegant and confident that I marveled at his effortless charm. We arrived at the restaurant where the atmosphere was lively. The decorations looked beautiful. The flowers and soft lights created an inviting atmosphere. As more and more guests arrived, we started celebrating. The chef set a large table for us as we had ordered, with beautifully arranged dishes that were not only delicious but also a feast for the eyes. The atmosphere was joyful, with music playing softly in the background and the conversations of friends and family filling the room. There was something magical about the way everyone was having fun. Our feast looked more like a wedding, beautifully arranged food, sparkling glasses, and a festive mood. The only ones who looked like the bride and groom were my father-in-law and me because of our attire. I told Daniel about it, and he laughed, saying that he would love to marry such a beautiful woman. His words caught me off guard, but they made me smile. I felt a thrill of excitement inside me that I hadn't felt in a long time. I said that I was very pleased to hear that, but as a married man, he shouldn't say that, especially when it was his wife's birthday. He shrugged playfully, and we both laughed. However, there was an undeniable tension between us, and it made me both nervous and anxious at the same time. There was a smoking room in the restaurant, but I always preferred to go outside to get some fresh air, so I went out alone. The evening air was cool, and I enjoyed being able to take my mind off the noise inside for a bit. The stars twinkled in the sky, and as I looked up at them, I felt a sense of calmness take over me. Suddenly, Daniel came up to me, taking me by surprise. He told me that he really liked me. His voice was soft but sincere, and I could hear the emotion in his words. He told me that he and his wife had a long but strained relationship with no real love. They had been contemplating divorce for a long time, regardless of how strong my husband and I thought his parents' marital bond was. It was just a pretense not to disappoint Ethan. He spoke with a vulnerability I hadn't noticed in him before. It was clear that he was tired of pretending, and there was such sadness in his eyes that my heart snapped. He took me gently by the shoulders and told me that he was charmed by me and proud of his son's taste. I didn't know what to say to him because I liked him too, even more than my husband. Daniel was much more masculine, well-groomed and intelligent than Ethan, and there was something about his confidence that drew me in. He stared at me intently, and I could feel the tension building between us. He asked me to keep it between us and tell me it was just for tonight. He wanted to feel alive again, if only for one night. We secluded ourselves, and you can already understand what happened next. The moment seemed surreal, as if from a movie, and we both gave in to the attraction we felt. It was passionate and unexpected, and in that brief moment everything else didn't matter. I felt a mixture of emotions: guilt, excitement, fear, and a strange sense of freedom. We both knew it wouldn't go any further than that, but in that fleeting moment we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable and feel what had been missing for so long. After that, we calmed down and went back to the others at the table. We acted as if nothing had happened, rejoining the laughter and conversations around us. I couldn't help but cast glances at Daniel, and he smiled imperceptibly at me in tacit acknowledgement of what had happened between us. The rest of the evening passed quietly, with toasts and wishes for my mother-in-law, who had no clue about anything. When the evening came to an end, we all said our goodbyes and Ethan and I headed home, tired but content after a long day. The memories of what had happened with Daniel lingered in my mind for a long time. It was a secret that only the two of us shared. When we got home, Ethan and I talked about how great the evening had been. He was happy that everything had gone according to plan, and that his mom had enjoyed herself. I nodded, but my thoughts were elsewhere, going over every moment I'd shared with Daniel. I felt a strange thrill at the realization that I had shared something so intimate with someone else that no one else knew about. I knew it was wrong, and the consequences would be dire if anyone found out, but some part of me couldn't help but feel alive. It was like a part of me that had been slumbering for years suddenly woke up. In the days that followed, I couldn't get Daniel out of my head. I daydreamed about that night, the way he looked at me, the way he made me feel. I felt a strange mixture of guilt and excitement, torn between loyalty to Ethan and the undeniable attraction I felt for Daniel. I knew I had to keep my emotions under control, but it wasn't easy. Every time I saw Daniel, there was a silent understanding between us, a shared secret that bound us together in a way no one else could understand. Did you like the story? Give me a like and subscribe for more stories.